Is it me or is it blurry? It might be. I can't remember properly. Alright, cheers by the cover. Which episode is this?
Cheers.
By the cover.
You ask this every time.
Really?
Yes. I don't know
what episode is. So this is our fourth book.
We tried to start reading the
We're not talking. We don't do her like that. But that's out. So
highly rated.
All right, guys. Welcome to By the Cover with Mouse
and Arie.
And today we are talking about the book Lights Out.
Yes, Lights Out by
Navessa Allen.
Oh, I love how you finished that for me because I did not remember.
This is actually my first book that I've read by her. Have you read any books by her?
No, I don't even know if she has any other books.
Well, she's new to us.
Yes. And she's going, read this book. On the internet, I've seen everybody reading this book.
So Arie saw about this book, so then she suggested for it to be the next read, so we jumped on it. And we have a little synopsis summary situation going on. And just real quickly before you continue, this is your official spoiler alert. We are going to be discussing the book, scenes, characters, all that stuff. So if you have not read it and you want to read it, go ahead and leave unless you don't care about spoilers. If you don't mind, hang out with us.
And it is a dark romance, so it's gonna get rated on the show today. So we're gonna be talking about all kinds of stuff. It's about to get a little dirty.
So we're gonna go ahead and read the summary. So Lights Out by Navessa Allen is a spicy, dark romance that blends suspense, humor, and emotional depth. The story follows Allie, an overworked trauma nurse who finds solace in watching mass thirst traps on TikTok, particularly those posted by a mysterious knife-wielding man. One night, after a few drinks, she jokingly comments that he should break into her house wearing his mask, and to her shock, he does.
Crazy. The masked man is Josh, a cybersecurity expert with a traumatic past and a penchant for an anonymity. No, I don't know how to say the word, girl.
Anonymity. And now we're gonna put it right here.
Let's go. You'll know exactly. You know what I mean. Intrigued by Allie's comment, he decides to turn her fantasy into reality. As their relationship unfolds, they delve into their darkest desires, blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. However, Allie soon attracts the attention of someone far more sinister, forcing Josh to become her protector. I feel like that was such a light synopsis for what actually happens in the book.
Right.
I guess they can't print something like that on the back of the book. I guess they can't write what really is going on. But did you read the trigger warnings in the beginning of the book?
I never read the beginning of the books. I never do.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to talk about how she's a nurse. I thought it was so cute how she was a nurse. And then she's a nurse and she's dealing with severe trauma people. How would you call it? The trauma center?
I think she's just in the room.
But it's trauma. They call it trauma, I think, in the hospital.
She's in that specific department?
Because it's like, they call it...
I know.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I'm saying, is she in that specific department? I didn't think she was in a specific department other than you're talking about how Jackson has a trauma center?
I felt like she did explain that because she was saying it's really bad in the city, and then she works in the inner city. I don't know. But anyways, I was like, I thought it was really cool that she was so dedicated to her job, and then we find out why she was. It's because of her mom and everything like that. So I really liked Allie. My brain is going right now. I think it's the drink.
Already? There's barely anything in here.
All right. I think I loved Allie, though, especially because she was a nurse. She was dedicated to her job. She was dedicated to the people she was trying to help. So that shit was really cool for me. But what did you think about Josh from the beginning? When you started reading about Josh, how did you feel about Josh?
Honestly, I thought that Josh was pretty normal. I feel like the thirst trap thing that he was doing was kind of cool. I'm saying, especially because I like that he didn't show his identity. I'm saying,
so masked men is a thing. You could see it really being a thing.
I could definitely see it being a thing for sure. It's the mystery behind it, and then I don't really care of guys showing off their body and stuff like that. But for the sake of the book, I can get it.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying. But it's also the lure and the mystery behind this man, and then he's holding a knife and he's all bloody.
I found it very sexy,
so I can get it. I definitely could get it.
Just the part that you don't know it's him. You don't know his voice. how he was doing all of these different augmentations to himself, and then he would just be talking to you dirty on top of it. It was something I didn't think I was going to be interested, but I found myself actually into it in the book.
See, when you just said how he was changing certain things by himself, one thing that I really loved when they first interacted, because remember he popped up at her job that day, she was having a really bad day. So one thing that I loved about that moment is that he was not talking. He kept texting her.
Yes.
And I was just like, that has got to be so crazy, but so at the same time. And
she was so for it. So she got in the car. Once she got in the car, I was like, she's trying to live out her fantasy.
But it's crazy because she still, it wasn't until maybe halfway into the book where she even still kept having those thoughts. I trust him, but I don't know, he could just still. There was even a moment where she was just like, fuck it, this is gonna be the night.
It's gonna be it. Because I'm just like, so into it.
She's like, I have to take this chance. I need to be up on him.
Yes.
But I did think that scene was really cool, how he was texting her. It just made me feel he even almost wasn't even present there because they couldn't even talk to each other. She was talking to him.
She was saying things that she was like, God damn it, say something. Yes, and he would be like,
yeah. I thought that was just so cool. And then just going back to the question about Josh, what I think about him, one thing that I do love about him is that he gives me a little Batman and Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Ooh,
and the reason why I say that,
definitely Wolverine,
right? So the reason why I say the Batman part is because the whole masculine side, right?
Yes.
The Spider-Man side is that I like how he has a little goof to him. He has a slight goofballness to himself.
Cute and goofy with it.
Not too cheesy like Spider-Man.
No, he didn't go crazy.
But just that little touch of Spider-Man. And the Wolverine part I like is because he has that little dark banter in him. You know what I'm saying? And that's like, and I loved their banter, like him and Allie. When they finally got comfortable, I literally found myself
like laughing to yourself, right? Yeah. Yes, so I definitely.
Like
I love the protectiveness, and I love how it was almost slightly stalkerish.
Yes,
I almost was like, I want to be stalked.
And that was going. That I have a question about that.
It was so cute how I think, look, Navessa was genius with that because she kept the element of a stalker, like a criminal, like something just that would still be a little bit scary, but then you loved it at the same time. He was breaking into cameras, breaking into watching her. You know, one of my favorite parts was?
Don't touch me.
One of my favorite parts was when she started realizing that he was watching her.
In the house, she played herself. So he got crazy, right? He started planting. Well, not plant. I guess kind of planting. He literally set up a whole security system around her house because he broke in and he was just like, it's just too easy for me to break in. So Ariel said the protectiveness of him took over, and he got a whole new security system. And at the same time, he put a camera in her room. His intention, because he still battles with him being a good guy and not so crazy extreme. So there was moments where he even stopped watching the camera when she was going to undress and stuff like that. But then something had happened and she got upset and took out the camera and was like...
And he's like, what is she doing?
Yeah. Because he gets alerts whenever there's movement in the cameras too. And then there's another moment where she got mad at him and then she's like, you know what? And she took the fucking camera. She plugged that bitch right the fuck back in and she fucking whipped out her motherfucking legs, spread them shits wide open and started fucking playing with herself, my nigga.
Oh my God.
Excuse me. We're going to take that out. But yes.
He was too.
He was. And
he got mad.
He punished her.
When he got home.
So, you're crazy. But before we get into that, just going back to the whole stalker tendency, right? So, I've seen people on TikTok talk about how we fall in love with these book characters that are doing all these wild things when we know in real life that we would not be for it. Full transparency. I'm a little toxic like that.
That's not little toxic. That's a lot of toxic.
The only time I would not be into it, I think is the obvious where if I wasn't really into the man or if he really gave more creep vibes, then I wouldn't. But if a random guy that I was physically attracted to started doing those things to me, I found out he was stalking and doing those cameras and stuff, it's on and popping. I'm going to be...
You're for it. You're here for it. That was my next question.
I'll be putting up all the shows with the cameras. I'll be doing it all. I'll be moving the cameras in better angles. I'll be so for it. Even if I never even got to touch him, I love to play that game. Yeah. So that's just my opinion on that. But I do think that it is a little crazy. But like I said, I'll play that game.
I think that it would be hard for me to get there initially. She was so down for it.
But she was obsessing with him before.
And she was obsessing with him before. So just a little background if you're watching this and you haven't read. So she initially had been watching his videos but didn't know exactly who he was. This was just one of her little freaky things that she liked to do, and she would whatever.
She would literally get off work and I'm going home. He puts out a video every Tuesday. She was like
addicted,
obsessed like that.
Obsessed. And there was a lot of other women obsessed too.
Yes.
And he ends up finding out that it's her because of the roommate. So she ends up taking it to a whole nother level. She ended up getting sold by his video that she reached out to somebody that she used to already mess around with and asked him if he would do the mask.
Let me do something like this.
And I low-key feel like the roommate knew and said that out loud on purpose just to get him to
open up,
do it.
Why? Because of what happened with them later on?
I feel like he knew that he thinks that his best friend doesn't know that he's the mask.
You think that he knows?
And I think he knows.
I don't think he knows.
I think he knows. I think he did that on purpose. He said it out loud to see. Because he knows he's a hacker. He knows he could find her if he wanted to. He showed him the message. He literally gave him the phone and everything.
Because he's a douche. Josh was saying that. He was like, he's just such a douche.
But then he's not.
And he's so into himself. Remember, he kept saying that. So he probably was like, bro, look at that.
I feel like he did that on purpose. But they don't actually say that he didn't do it on purpose. Or he did do it on purpose. So anyway, so then he sees the picture in his friend's phone and he goes and he's like, he starts to freak out about it because it's too close to home. His best friend doesn't know. And so he goes and he searches her up and tries to find her in his comments. And then he sees her comments. And then it just...
He noticed that she
derails him
on every single video and just saying real come and fuck me type shit. And it just triggered him. It just literally triggered him. And it just immediately, he was just like...
The man broke into his house. The man turned off all the electricity on the block.
That's how much of a hacker he is. He's really good. He literally made a whole plan, got up in there, disabled her alarm system and all of that.
Are we crazy that we're talking about him like he's a real person?
No, because he probably is a real person. Which is so crazy because I wanted to ask that. I wanted to know, and I don't think people are going to be honest about it, but if you are living a real life situation like that, something very similar, I'm very curious as to how real these things could possibly be. I feel like everything is a possibility, and this might be a stretch, but I really wonder how common it probably is that we're not even noticing or realizing. If you're open enough, share. You don't have to give too much detail, but I am even if you say, I'm living it, I'm curious about that.
But how often does something like this even happen? Because that is wild.
What was the wildest scene to you? And it doesn't have to be just sexual.
That's what I was going to ask you. Should it be a sexual one? Can you be a little more specific so I can give you one?
I'm going to ask you two. I want to know what your general wildest scene was and then your specific sexual scene. Wildest. So we're going to start with the sexual first. What was your wildest sexual scene?
They were all pretty wild. The specific one was when he ended up using the knife. I was like, what? That one was intense to me. That one was crazy. And then honestly, the one at the end, I actually enjoyed the hunt.
That was amazing. But before you get there, so yes.
Those two, I gotta say, those two, because they both, one surprised me and the other one, I low-key want to do that.
You know the hunt, right? I'm down for the hunt.
I'm not even that kind of freaky fantasy kind of girl, but I low-key want to do that. I want to go and get chased.
So I agree. The wildest scene to me was the knife scene. Partly because I was just like, really? It was a little bit too extreme. So the knife scene.
You think it was too extreme?
Yes. It was too extreme.
It like the knife, the handle of the knife.
No, I know, but it was just like the whole stabbed it in the bed and then you're riding a knife handle. So they were having a moment.
God.
I think it was their first time. So they had 2 or 3 sexual moments without having intercourse because he was
the writing of the
right. So there, I think this was the actual moment where he wasn't having intercourse with her. He was just pleasuring her and teasing her. Mm-hmm. But it was the same thing. He had broken into her house or whatever, and then he was wearing the mask thing because he knew that obviously she was really into that. Well, actually, he hadn't revealed his identity yet. So there's a couple times where they were hanging out and he was still wearing the mask for a while. It didn't happen until we'll get there. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so there was a scene where he was in there, whatever. He did the whole thing. He whipped out one of his knives that he's always holding in his videos, and he stabbed the corner of her fucking mattress. And she's like, oh my God. And then found out he's like, I already ordered another one. It's going to come tomorrow. Savior. How they do. He's this amazing guy who already had it down packed. He's like, I ordered a bigger one for us to sleep in. It's coming tomorrow. Because she was like, oh my God, my mattress. So he stabs it, right? So the handle is sticking out. And he goes, sit on it.
Who's sitting on that, sir?
He made her ride the handle of the knife. I don't know. To me, that was a little bit. It was too much of a reach of being so. You get what I'm saying?
I can see what you're saying.
But
for her to be so willing and ready,
and just
to not double think it or be a little more resistant, and then he had to goad her to it and make her be into it.
And then she really wrote it and came and everything. So that was my most wildest scene. Going back to the hunting scene.
But I love the hunting scene.
I'm going to let you summarize it since I summarized it.
So the hunting scene, this was one of her actual fantasies that she's been wanting to, she just came up with. And basically they get an Airbnb in the middle of nowhere where they knew a lot of people wouldn't be, whatever, not even people hiking or nothing. And she ended up training for this thing because she wanted to really make it challenging for him. So he gives her a head start and she has to run into the forest, and he basically has to hunt her down, catch her within a time limit. And then,
if he catches her within that time limit, then she ends up having, he said that she has to be in one of his videos if he caught her.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
So that was the challenge. If he caught her within a certain time frame, then she had to be a star in one of his videos. We don't know to the extent of what she had to do. But he didn't.
Oh, he caught her right on the time. Right?
I don't remember.
He caught her right on the time. And then there was something like he had to be inside of her or something like that at a certain time. I thought it was like that. But anyways, so he had to catch her, and she thought she got all head start and everything, and then he ends up being right on her. And then she's running, and then he ends up catching her. And then the second part of that was crazy to me. I didn't like how they proposed. It was like, why?
But I did like that scene. I like I can feel the suspense that she was feeling, because the author really went into depth of her feeling like I feel like I hear him right behind me. The rustling of the leaves made her feel like he was right there. And there was moments where she was just like, I can't even turn around, because she felt like if she was going to turn around, then he was going to be right there.
Right on her.
So that was,
and it was like tall and very broad and very athletic. So it's just like, and he had his mask on.
Did he?
I think so.
I didn't realize that.
I think he did, or I think he had some stuff on him to make him seem even more darker and insidious, kind of coming at her.
But no, I did like that scene because it was very exciting. It was suspenseful, exciting.
I love that.
It's like that chase, like that hunt, for real.
All right, y'all. That was a wrap up for part 1. Tune in for part 2.